Hello there, Mike the MC, bringing another self-care video. Today I'm going to share with you number 268 of the Catechism with respect to God being strong in weakness. But more importantly, not just the weakness that we think, oh, how is God weak? Specifically, it's with you and me. That is the idea. And so when we feel we're having a rough day, going through a divorce, a breakup, some sort of calamity, some sort of thing that puts us behind, that really puts just a deep moral wound in our lives. How can we stand up from that? And that is where 268 really helps us understand the beautiful omnipotence of God and being the ultimate healer and powerful healer of all time, beyond it actually. So let me share with you number 268 of the Catechism and see where this takes us. So paragraph 3, the Almighty, in brief from the Trinity, where this is with respect to God. So 268 states the following: of all the divine attributes, only God's omnipotence is named in the Creed. To confess this power has great bearing on our lives. We believe that His might is universal, for God who created everything also rules everything and can do everything. God's power is loving, for He is our Father, and mysterious, for only faith can discern it when it is made perfect in weakness. So when our faith is put to the test, when you and I are going to go through some horrible things in life, do we just yell? Do we put on a temper tantrum? Do we just go about complaining on media, on some sort of other part of the world about how things are not going so well for us? How do we complain, and how do we treat ourselves, but more importantly, other people, animals, the environment, when everything is not going well? This, unfortunately, is where you could say, okay, this is where poverty, people who are not so well are really taking down other parts of their lives. The burnt home, the animals left astray, etc. And not to go very sad on this moment, on this note, but the thing is, sadness and misery can really multiply on its own without someone right there to take care of somebody that is in trouble. And so the thing that you and I have to remember is, when we are going to face trouble, we have to remember that we can turn to something that is right there for us to accept with help, for love, that you and I can be something great. But also to remember that our neighbor may be suffering so badly. They may not be telling us how things are going behind the scenes, but then that's where the next day we hear of the sad, unfortunate news of when they pass away. And you think, oh my gosh, why didn't they give a warning? Why weren't they giving us any clue or heads up that things were going to be terrible, that they needed someone to talk to? And you're wondering, why weren't they talking to you in the moment? That's the thing. People want to avoid being embarrassed. People also don't want you to know the darkest pain at their worst times, because it means so much to the individual at that time that it is so particular. I don't know your pain in a moment. My pain is unique to you. You'll never know it. And so how do we trust that we can overcome the sadness in those moments? And so the thing is, talking with God, having hope that we can overcome the negative darkness, the negative cloud that shadows us. But the thing is, the beautiful thing of God is that when He pierces our heart with love, helps us see a greater mystery that's only allowed when we accept the love as well. And if you're not willing to accept the love, right, from our Lord, that can be a bit of a troubled way of not finding healing. We can try to solve problems on our own, but if you notice, when you're trying to fix a problem on your own, a major problem, say you have an addiction to drugs, pornography, or some other big thing that's negative in your life, and you don't have that outer source, the above source, to kind of guide you, or also the source that's most intimate with you, knowing your pain, when you are weak but you don't turn to something great, right, you're going to be stuck in that lowliness, that weakness, and the tantrum will still keep going on. And so the idea here is, when you're weak, when you're down, when you're on your side thinking, oh my, why, Lord, why do I have to go through this pain and suffering right now? But those are the beautiful moments that I will admit to you where I felt the Lord most closely. It's when we're so damaged, so much in pain, that when He comes to you and I, and we accept that love of healing, ooh, it's so powerful. It's beautiful, even. And you think, wow, you made me out of love. You're here for you and I, that we can be together in heaven, that we are connected even now on earth. That is a beautiful connection to think about. You and I can be connected in our worst moments to a greater power. And that greater power helps us realize, hey, more than fame and power and money, there's always this beautiful love that will always be there. And that's the greatest power of all, that created everything. And so with that mightiness of our Lord, let's also reflect on how to help our kids, our friends, those in poverty, those in need. Because through us, as instruments of peace, we can help other people. And through us, our works will have something of value for somebody who needs that word of advice, needs a resource when they don't have a phone to call for help, etc., etc., whatever the situation is. And you and I can play that role of being the difference maker for somebody in their life. And that is something you can think about when you are wondering, how am I going to take care of somebody when I know that I have been selfish my whole life? And when you finally break your selfishness by doing an act of kindness, it's going to change your heart for a greater thing. Keep that in mind. All right, everyone. I hope this one finds you well with number 268 of the Catechism. Always remember that our selfishness can be broken by an act of humility. And when we are finally open to the love of something greater that is beyond us, it's going to move us to do some good things in this world, in this life. And you and I can make a difference. And always remember that through all the bad, horrible times in life, there is a good Creator who loves you and I above all things. Things to consider. All right, everyone. I hope this video finds you well today. Take care. Have a good one.